Engineer. I can count. I'm an engineer.
Good thing you didn't ask us to do that.
Yeah, it's for some it's aptitude, for others it's a battery test. Yours is battery. Okay, I'm rolling.
Okay. Have your name and your position, and then spell your name for us.
With the introduction or just?
Just
Okay. Dawn Reinhold, D-A-W-N, space Reinhold, R-E-I-N-H-O-L-D. My position is an associate professor in biosystems and agricultural engineering at Michigan State University.
okay. All right. Let's do that again, just so we have the right spelling.
Okay.
But say then, hi, my name is.
Okay. Hi, my name is Dawn Reinhold, and I'm an associate professor at Michigan State University in the Biosystems and Agricultural Engineering Department.
Great. Tell us a little bit about your work and your work's relationship to food and agriculture.
So a lot of the research that I do deals with treating waste from agricultural or food production. And so to have a sustainable food production system, we need to be able to grow crops, raise animals, and to get food products, to process those products and get them into the marketplace and treat all the waste that come from those processes. So that includes whether that you're applying fertilizers and pesticides to crops, or whether just the washing of fruits and vegetables by food processors. All of those produce either waste or polluted runoff. And so we look at engineering different ecological systems that can treat that waste in a passive, environmentally friendly, and cost-effective manner.
Okay, great. What is exciting about your job?
So what I like about my job is that I get to work with a diverse group of people. We get to work in a diverse group of places, and we get to really take apart systems, understand them, and then try to replicate them and use them to solve real-world problems.
Give me an example.
So for example, we have this site here. This is a bioretention site, or a rain garden, as some people would more commonly know it. This type of system treats polluted stormwater runoff, so what's coming off the roads from the surrounding area, and treats it through filtering it through a sand-based ecosystem that has microorganisms, plant roots, and all sorts of critters like earthworms and bugs. And it treats that water before discharging it into the Red Cedar River. We also have a site that's somewhat similar in Costa Rica. At that site, we're actually treating waste from an anaerobic digester, but it's still, we're taking the waste, we're taking it through a sand-based ecosystem that has plants and microorganisms and little critters, and we're using that to treat that waste.
Great. Is for you at MSU?
So as a professor, I spend a lot of time advising students, answering emails, preparing for teaching and teaching classes. But my students actually spend a combination of time doing experiments in the laboratory, experiments outside, such as this site or in a greenhouse, and we work on then using mathematical models to relate the different experiments. And so understanding something at a very basic, fundamental level, small scale in the laboratory, and being able to take that to the full scale system in the environment where we have lots of variability like wind, rain, all sorts of things like that we have to account for.
Did you always want to be in this area?
So I actually decided to become a biosystems engineer the day I started orientation for my freshman year of college. I was a little late to the game. I had never actually heard of biosystems, biological or agricultural engineering before I went to that first day of orientation. I knew I wanted to be an engineer because I wanted to solve problems. I was good at math, I was good at a lot of the sciences, but I didn't know what type of engineer I wanted to be. And so I started flipping through the course program book and looking at the classes that you took for each different type of engineering. I knew I wanted to do something for the environment, but when I looked at environmental engineering courses, they really didn't fit what I wanted to do because they were more standard drinking water, wastewater treatment plants. And I wanted to do something that was outdoorsy more. And so when I flipped and looked at biosystems or biological engineering, I saw that the courses they took in the environmental area had to do with non-point source pollution, natural resource conservation, water hydrology, and things like that. And that really interested me a lot more than the traditional civil and environmental engineering path. And so that's how I found my way into the College of Agriculture and the realm of food and natural resources and ag.
Great. So did you have an internship or fellowship through your studies, and at what point? And
Yeah, so I did 3 different summer experiences. I did research for a Kansas State faculty member, actually preparing samples to get sent up to the moon my first summer. So it was a very basic microbiology lab experience. My second summer I actually worked for Cargill. Cargill is the plant I worked at manufactured corn products. So they took corn and they produced corn oil, corn ethanol, sugar, animal feed. They had like 7 or 8 different products that they actually produced at that plant. And I worked as their environmental health intern. So I helped them with the paperwork for regulators, as well as helped monitor their discharges as for environmental quality. And so I kind of had that more administrative type of role as an intern. And then my third summer I actually did research for the Idaho National Laboratory, which is a Department of Energy laboratory. And the research I did there looked at how do we remediate groundwater with biological organisms.
what? So does your job require skills from other disciplines like social sciences, or and how do you integrate creativity with that?
Yeah, so a lot of the work that we do, we have to integrate with society. An ecologically engineered solution will not work unless you consider the whole ecosystem. And let's be honest, the ecosystem includes humans. So a system like this is not going to work if people come in and trash it. And so we actually have to work with people that know how to communicate what we're doing to the surrounding community so that they can understand this is why we have this system here. We also have to work with sometimes landscape architects, basic scientists, so that we can do the job that we need to do.
Okay. How do you, so it sounds like a lot of the work that you do, there might be a couple different ways to solve a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do you incorporate a sense of creativity into that? Like, is that part exciting to you? Is that important to you, or is it?
Anytime you have a problem, creativity is going to be essential to solving it. There's going to be something that comes up when you're building that standard system that all of a sudden doesn't work for some reason that you never imagined. And that's where engineers are ultimately, they have to be creative because they have to come up with a solution for, hey, what we thought would work didn't work. This site's actually a really good example because this was initially designed to be basically just standing water to allow the water to kind of slow down, infiltrate, or settle out some solids before it went into the wider system. However, we found out after they constructed it that the pumps that are pumping the water into the system are pumping at too fast a rate for that to work. So instead, the whole thing was eroding like crazy and it was coming apart. And so we had to come up and say, what's a good solution for this problem? And that's where you have to start creatively thinking, okay, our original plan didn't work, what can we do? And so we started incorporating some larger rocks to be able to keep the erosion down. We put erosion control on the sides. And when it started to go and evolve itself to be a wetland, we let it do that, saying, you know, this is obviously what the ecosystem wants. And so, yes, it's not our original design, but this is what's going to work best.
What technology do you use in your day-to-day?
So we use actually a really wide range of technology. So of course we're all using computers with programs and to do calculations and things like that and statistical analysis. But since we also do lab and field work, we have different sorts of instruments for each one of those. For example, we have ISCO samplers here that automatically collect water samples that we then go take back to the laboratory and we analyze using ion chromatograph, HPLC, mass spectrometry, all sorts of advanced analytical equipment.
Okay, great. What's your favorite part of all of this?
I like the combination of being able to do all of it as compared to having to just pick one.
So if you had to just teach or just be in the lab or just be outdoors?
I wouldn't be a faculty member then.
Okay.
That's why I chose to be a faculty member, is I got to do a little bit of each.
Okay, good. So how is you and your work contributing to this challenge that we have of feeding 9 billion people by 2050, or keeping healthy this growing population?
So it's impossible to feed the world without providing adequate water. I think California is a really good example of that now. And so when we talk about water, there's two aspects we have to consider, both quantity and quality. In places like Michigan, we have the quantity of water we need to have a rich agricultural economy. However, if we don't treat our water correctly, it's too polluted to produce healthy food. My research group also does research on looking at things like if you apply biosolids or wastewaters that have pharmaceuticals in them, the plants uptake the pharmaceuticals. Those are things we need to be considering when we look at the health of an agricultural ecosystem. So not only do we have to treat water before we can use it, and finding a cost-effective way to do that is good, we also need to look at, okay, when we apply waste or even just slightly polluted waters to agricultural fields, what are the fate of those pollutants? Are they going to enter into the food stream and present potential health risks? Thus far, we've found out the answer is no, but we are looking to check.
Okay. How do you feel that your job makes a difference in the world? Or do you?
Yeah, so I feel I am making a difference. One, in the students that I teach, the students that I reach, I'm helping them fulfill their career goals. Additionally, I feel our research does help advance certain areas, such as using wastewater for irrigation purposes, which will be necessary to feed the world in the future, or whether it be treating stormwater using passive economical systems. We're contributing to the field of literature that's developing these technologies and understanding of what's occurring in these systems.
Okay. Did you have a mentor when you were?
Yeah.
And do you now? And how does that work? Who was that person?
So I have had a couple different mentors in undergrad and grad school, as well as even now still. I would say probably the most impactful mentor I had in undergrad was my research advisor my junior and senior years, Stacy Hutchison at Kansas State University. She was the first female professor I had really had, and so I learned a lot from her from that perspective. And she also had very similar interests to me as far as research areas. She helped me find my faculty advisor for grad school and kind of helped me on this track of, whether I wanted to be a professor or go into government research or work for the EPA. She kind of helped me weigh those decisions to figure out exactly what I wanted.
Okay. Why is it important to continue? Like you said, you have a mentor now, and you're probably a mentor to some students. Mm-hmm. Why is that relationship important?
So you're always going to encounter problems that are unforeseeable to you, but somebody else has had that same problem before. So having the ability to go to somebody that you're comfortable with and have a personal conversation of, this happened, I'm not sure what to do, can you give me advice, is a wonderful relationship. It also helps because since they know you, they possibly know your students, they can kind of warn you if they see something happening before you're aware of it. And so they help you solve problems, they help you prevent problems, and they also just help you brainstorm when you're trying to come up with good ideas. I enjoy mentoring other people because I feel, the road for me was generally smooth, but there was some rough spots. And if I can help other people avoid those rough spots, that makes it a good day for me.
Great. Good.
I have two quick questions.
Okay.
That's right. Can you take one half step to your right? There you go.
That was one of your questions.
Yeah. Oh, that was okay. I have it right. Okay, you can look right at Eileen. Why is it important for someone to be involved in STEM?
So STEM is going to be necessary for us to solve the upcoming world problems. We need to integrate, not necessarily in just one major, but in our careers, in our jobs, in our workplaces, science, a basic understanding of what the problem is and what is occurring, technology, some sort of way to address that problem, engineering, designing the actual solution to the problem, and math is essential for doing all of the other three. So these are essential components to being able to address things like hunger, thirst, sanitation, all of these emerging world issues.
Okay, one last question.
You can get rid of that stutter, right?
Okay, 1 second here. What puts a smile on your face every day you come to work?
So I get really excited when I see my students getting really good results that they're proud of. So when my students are proud of the work they're done, I am very, very happy for them. So that's kind of my, one of the things that puts a smile on my face. I would also say when I see a student in class where it finally clicks and they have that moment where they're like, oh, I get this. I really enjoy those moments too.
Okay. Do you think do you think agriculture has been left out of the STEM conversation for a while, or?
I think at some level it has been. Most people, I have this general impression that they feel I can grow a tomato in my backyard, therefore it must not be that difficult. Well, there's a whole different level of complexity and many more challenges when you're not growing one tomato plant, you're growing 10,000. To feed the world, we need to look at these larger scale systems that have different problems in your home garden. And so yes, we need the technology, we need the engineering, we need the science to be able to address these food, energy, and water needs. And it's sorry, it's not as simple as just having your garden in your backyard.